Hello everyone and welcome to this week's reviews, and I have a treat for you. An early review of the latest chapter in the never-ending Marvel Cinematic Universe as we check back in on Ant-Man, and don't worry, this is set before Thanos came to town. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've remarked before about how I find most of the Marvel movies to be pretty good. They are well-oiled machines at this point. They do the job of giving us endearing characters and entertaining action sequences, and I do frequently enjoy checking out the newest episode in this series. Ant-Man and the Wasp is definitely a movie in the franchise that can be called serviceable. It's fine. It does not attempt to rock the boat or break any rules. It's just fine. And that's okay. It sticks pretty close to the tried-and-true superhero formula and still makes for an entertaining romp. The story might be the simplest in the entire universe, as the plot mostly involves a bunch of characters chasing after MacGuffin, and we see a jump from hero to villain to hero to villain, and you get the idea. The best sequences are definitely when Ant-Man and the Wasp put on their costumes and shrink and enlarge. I really loved how the first film depicted scale, and Peyton Reed continues that here. There's a terrific fight scene in a kitchen, and even a car chase that I found very entertaining with how it played with scale. The visual effects artists really deserve to be commended. As the title suggests, the Wasp is given equal billing here, and Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd exhibit strong chemistry. Rudd does a good job of making Scott Lang a likable and charming hero we root for, while Lilly captures the intellect of Hope Van Dyne. The main villain, Ghost, is okay. There's an attempt at a sympathetic backstory, but it's hard to find the stakes that high when we just saw Thanos do his thing a few months ago. Meanwhile, Walton Goggins' gangster is completely superfluous. Ant-Man and the Wasp pretty much serves as the palate cleanser after Avengers Infinity War. It's just meant to be a light-hearted little escapade, and that's fine. Next up, those Pepsi commercials have now been adapted into a feature film. Here is Uncle Drew. The main joke in those Pepsi advertisements is depicting an elderly man who is excellent at basketball. And that's the one joke in this movie, which seemingly goes on forever. The filmmakers essentially try and mount this Blues Brothers type plot with the team getting back together, and don't really do much with it, aside from repeating the same stale jokes about how they're old. Almost every sports movie cliché is utilized in Uncle Drew, which would not be a problem if they made fun of them, but they are instead played completely straight. The outcome for one of the central characters, played by Lil Ray Howery, is especially obvious from the second we find out his backstory. I would forgive that if the movie made me laugh, and it just didn't. I will say the makeup work on the actors is really good, and they look believably elderly. And they also commit to the parts really well, right down to their postures. With the exception of Nick Kroll's insufferable antagonist, none of the characters actively annoyed me. They're just written in such a one-note manner. There's a lot of padding to stretch the thin story, as we have multiple basketball games in the third act, and even a dance-off competition. Yep, Uncle Drew has the dance-off scene. You have talented and funny people in this, like Howery, Kroll, and Tiffany Haddish, but the material is disappointingly stale and wears thin rather quickly. Thank you for watching this week's reviews, and I'll see you next time.